Good morning and welcome to Leading West Michigan, a show about success and featuring local leaders and people in local business. And now here's your host, Ryan Howe.
Good morning, everyone. We have a great show for you today. I'm Ryan Howe, founder of Summit Business Guides, where I help businesses with strategic and succession planning so they can grow their businesses faster than they ever thought possible. You can learn more at summitbusinessguides.com. So this show is all about learning about our guest leadership journey, and joining us today is Theresa Irving. She is a local entrepreneur. She is the owner of Duneberry Disc Golf and Blueberry Farm, correct? I want to make sure I got that.
That's right.
Right there. Also, she is the assisting programming director for Warriror Rising, which we'll get into more later in the show. So thank you for joining me today.
That's great to be here. The weather is gorgeous.
Yeah, I know. This is that's usually my line talking about the weather, so you beat me to that one. No, it was great. I'll take those overnight storms any day of the week so we can get the sunshine out, considering what we have to go through in January and February around here. So thank you for being flexible. I mean, we had a guest, obviously, who moved us to the right a bit here, but if we're going to have move to the right, it's definitely somebody that want to have for that individual. So also, we are both military veterans, as we were joking about before we got into the show there, that there's we're used to hurry up and wait. It's not a problem at all. So it's good to have you on here. So let's get right into it. So where are you from, Theresa?
I am from Oceana County. I was born and raised. I grew up at the end of a dead-end road in the middle of nowhere. And I went into the service thinking I was never going to come back. And here we are talking today.
Where'd you go to school at in Oceana County?
In Shelby. You
were at Shelby? Okay. And did your entire time there in Shelby?
I did, till I graduated.
Yeah. So one of the questions I always like to know is, so how did you like school?
For me, I think I actually started in Ferry, and then we had a feeder school that went into Shelby back before the program was just all that one town. And so I really grew up understanding and liking school. Okay. Even though I wasn't the best student, I really enjoyed the teachers. I really enjoyed learning, and I was around family. My dad is the youngest out of 14, and so I think I went away to the service.
You said 14?
14.
Okay. All right. 1 out of 4. Wow, that's amazing. Again, it's just different era back then. But we'll talk more about you with your family too in a second. So again, you enjoyed it. So what you mentioned, you really enjoyed the teachers. What was it about the interactions with the teachers that you enjoyed?
I think it was their desire to teach that was really important, and I found that when I was away from my family, my mom and my dad, I was there with another group of people that really cared and was invested in me.
That's one of my favorite things to hear is, and you find that in these in the small schools again that we have here in the area. Where we live in Maine prior to coming here, one of the concerns they had was the large class sizes. There was just because of the population growth and the lack of teachers. But for here, yes, we do still have a teacher shortage, and I understand that it's something we're going to be working through for quite some time. However, the class sizes are just about right for development, for learning, because the teachers are able to give time to those students who need it and not be spread so thin there. So did you do any sort of sports or anything else in school?
So I did track and field. My aunt and uncle were coaches, and so I was able to get a ride to and from practice.
What'd you do in track and field?
I ran everything from the 100-meter to the 2-mile. I was always the closer. They would figure out what needed a third place, and I would go in.
Okay. So again, if you're just joining us, we're talking with Theresa Irving here on Leading West Michigan. I'm Ryan Howe, and again, this show is all about learning about our guest's leadership journey. And we just found out about Theresa, again, doing track and field out there. So, again, being from a small area that you were, and then you said, then you went into the Air Force, which is something we both did. Why did you decide to leave the area and join the Air Force? What was it that made you rather, instead of college per se, go that route?
For me, joining the service was a chance to see the world. I wanted to be able to do it on my own. Being from Oceana County, my grandma was the county clerk. My grandfather had a prominent position at the bank there, Hart Bank. And I always felt like I was able to get into things because of the efforts of my family. And I wanted to go out and do something that was mine, that I'd worked for. And so the Air Force for me was my path to do that and to see the world.
So you went basically in search of a meritocracy instead of what you felt might just be doors being opened for you too easily. Is that right?
Yes.
So when you got into the Air Force, what was that like actually going through that? As far as, did it meet expectations? What was it like when you first went in?
I'm laughing because my very first night in basic training and people are screaming at me. That same person that wanted to go make it on her own was thinking, do you know who I am?
Okay.
But I really think that it did meet and beat my expectations. Before I was 20, I'd seen over 32 different countries, and
wow.
I really got to travel. England being my first duty station at RAF Lakenheath, and then later on.
What was your job that you got to travel so much?
I started out as a supply troop for 17 months, and then I retrained and became a chaplain assistant. So I got to serve my God and my country, and I feel like that really put me around the world. Some places not so great, but most places fantastic.
Yeah, even those not so great places, you can usually find like a little, basically a rough diamond in there somewhere usually. But and then there's some just nothing's going to make them basically be worth your time and energy there. So I get that for sure. So you went in a supply troop, and for those that don't know what supply troop is, could you just share what that job was?
Sure. So it's a part of logistics, and what I did was I coordinated a number of things. Over at RAF Lakenheath, we have a fighter base, and we were able to move engine parts. And so one of the things I developed and later on got offered a job at Boeing but decided not to take was a program that when you take out an engine aircraft, you could log what needed to be done with that 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And that's very important because every time you take out an engine, it costs you time. So we actually had 11 aircraft that really affected our ability to be warfighter capability because they weren't able to fly because the engines were out. So we're able to develop that very quickly. I always found opportunities to improve things. Like I would go in and I would find something and say, oh, this was somewhere I could improve. And I really enjoyed logistics, but I saw it being downsized. So I watched my supervisor be told he was going to be a cop, a personnelist, or he'd have to get out of the service. And so that's what caused me to look at a different career. And I've always been drawn for my faith. And I thought, man, being a chaplain assistant would be awesome. And so I took that opportunity and then went right back overseas to Misawa Air Base.
Yep. So for those who don't, Lakenheath is in England.
England, yep.
And again, we're continuing our conversation with Theresa Irving here on WMOM 102.7. And again, for Misawa, and that's where Misawa Air Base is in northern Japan. It's on the tip of the northern, basically the big island in Japan. And that's one of the things that, again, goes back to where we first met and how basically our entire relationship kind of began was, again, went to your restaurant that you had, which we'll talk about in a second here. And within a moment you had mentioned, we were sitting down there with my mom and my wife, and we're chatting. And next thing you mentioned, you're in the Air Force. And I could already tell just by the way that you talk, there's a way that military people talk in general. And when you mentioned, where you're at, and of course the next question after you've been in the service, like, hey, where have you been stationed? And she said Misawa, and we missed each other. What were the years you were there?
I was there from 2001 until 2007.
Okay, and I was there from 99 to 2002. So we were there together, but again, it's just one of those things where you just, again, it's a lot. It's usually, especially on Misawa, almost everybody knew everyone, but at that time when I'm also getting ready to leave, we probably only had maybe 4 or 5 months where we maybe crossed over. But Misawa is one of those bases that we look back to. We absolutely love northern Japan. It was great. It's where my youngest daughter was born. Love it there. So, but that's where you started your career as a, again, chaplain, basically chaplain's assistant. So what is that job?
So being a chaplain assistant, you run the logistics, you run money, finances, and you set up services. And then downrange, you help protect the chaplain. And so it's a very unique situation. Being in the legal for a paralegal and being a chaplain assistant are the only two professional career fields in the service that they call. And so I thought that was very interesting. But you really have to have the ability to switch and do multiple things at once. And that's what I really loved about being a chaplain assistant, is that ability to support services.
What are some of the ways that you were able to, I don't know, again, be able to help out within the community itself? Again, you had outreach you're saying you're doing. Like, what did that look like?
So when I was in England, because I would go back to England later, we would do national pie functions and have prayer days with people outside of the base, outside of the wire. We also would do things in Japan. We had Bordeaux jerky as a supporter. And so every time somebody bought a bag of jerky, they would give a free bag downrange. And so I was able to plug in my desire to help and amplify the message for others that there's hope, no matter what your faith is, whatever that is, just give you the opportunity to know that you're loved and wanted and thought about, especially when you're downrange. And so we had a lot of those initiatives while I was in Japan, because we had a huge deployment ramp up during that time, if you remember.
Yeah, oh yeah, I definitely recall that. We had 2001, there was, obviously it changed all of our trajectory for those of us from the military at that time, because there was basically, I had just gotten back from Turkey on a deployment, like I said, the night of basically September 11th, 2001. So waking up on the 12th, I'm looking at the TV and I'm just seeing the same thing everywhere. And I thought there was some movie that was being played. And it's like, oh, and then within a couple hours, we were all basically armed up and getting ready to do what we had to do over there. So, it was interesting that shift that occurred there. So where else were you stationed besides Massawa, Lakenheath?
So I went to Lakenheath twice. I've been to RAF Crownton, Massawa Air Base. I was at Tucson, Arizona for a very short stint, as well as Scott Air Force Base.
Okay.
And that is my career in the service. Most of it has been sent overseas.
And so Crownton is where?
Is in England.
Is in England.
It's right outside of Oxford.
And where's Scott?
Scott Air Force Base is in Illinois, and it's about 40 miles away from St. Louis.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you say, Davis Monthan, because that's where I met my wife. And yeah, absolutely. Yep. I met her at a bowling alley of all places there. So, there's a great story behind that. Maybe I'll bring it out sometime. But either way, no. And that's another thing that I've always enjoyed about those basic relationships. When you meet people who've been in the Air Force, you're always comparing notes about where you've been. And when you have those overlaps, one of my favorite things is like, okay, usually comes up, where's the best place to eat? Right, and you can usually rattle off 3 or 4 places, and you usually land on the same one. And then sometimes you're like, wait, they get into arguments over what's the better place to eat out of there. So, again, for Massawa, every time anyone's ever asked, it's always been Cheese Roll Noodle House. See,
Same.
Right there. So, it's just the way it goes there. So down in Scott, what did you do there? Same thing with the chaplain assistant, or
I had just going to be a chaplain assistant, and then I went over to Massawa.
So during this time, were you able to do any schooling, any education while you were in the military as well?
I did. And one of the things I was going through, it was the University of McKendree. It's one of the oldest universities in Illinois. And I actually found an opportunity in St. Charles to get a buy one, get one free flight to be able to fly. And so my girlfriend and I took that opportunity, and we have flight school as our elective for our degrees, because I thought it was so cool to be able to get that training and have that opportunity.
Yeah, other people have electives like, I looked at astronomy. You're out there flying aircraft. Go figure. Go figure on that. So
everybody always asks you, like, what do you fly? Well, the Air Force is more than just flyers. And so, I had to do something to get my learning curve, so I at least understood a little bit about the plane. Well,
that's too funny. So overall, and this goes back out to, again, just for the folks out there that are listening, your time in the Air Force, net positive, net negative?
Extremely positive for me.
Okay. How so? Like,
what it allowed me to see the world and make my own opinions about what I thought about things, culture, people, relationships, how we do business. All those things I got to learn in the military. And I think it was also a safe place for me to grow up as a human being, to make mistakes, to find mistakes in other people and learn how to deal with those in a positive way. I think it's important.
Okay, yeah, and that's one thing I've talked about before, is that one of the reasons I think a lot of folks, again, they decide to move away and decide to go out on their own is there's a feeling you have when you're, for certain folks, and I was one of them when I was growing up here, is I wasn't sure exactly who I wanted to be, but I also I didn't feel I was going to be as comfortable testing out, trying to figure out who I was in this area. And the other thing with the military, which is great, especially for active duty, is you move every few years. And so you get a chance that didn't work out so well. Let me see what I learned and try it at this next spot here. And for me, I can say pretty definitively it was in my early 30s when everything clicked, and I was finally able to circle all the way back around to how I was really comfortable in my own skin instead of trying out everybody else's. Once I did that, it was just like off to the races. But some people get to that realization sooner than others. Mine took a little bit longer on there. So I'm always going to be grateful for the Air Force and my time in the military for that. So.
Well, there's a saying that says everybody makes me happy when I meet them. Some when they come into my life, and some when they leave.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I wonder how many people I made happy when I left over the years. That's probably a big number. So, no, yeah. So with that though, you decided to come back. Why did you come back here?
It's interesting because I actually owned a home outside of England, outside of Oxford. And so I owned it, and I'm a lady in England, and I thought I'm never going to come back to America. And I married a man, and my children. And it's so funny that, we can pick anywhere you want to go on vacation, and all they want to do is come back to Oceana County every opportunity. And I'm thinking to myself, my mom and dad live at the end of a dead end road, and we could go anywhere in Europe at all. And here we are back here, spending our time. And I think it's interesting to see that what you run away from, I felt like Dorothy, what you run away from, everybody else really enjoys and saw the beauty of it. And I think I learned too.
No, I definitely can agree with that. For those just joining us, this is Leading West Michigan. I'm Ryan Howe with Summit Business Guides, and we're talking with Theresa Irving. And continuing this conversation about, those of us who were away and have returned. Now, how long were you in the military total?
17 years.
Okay, 17 years. And then, again, I did 20. Why were you only at 17? What was the cause of being out at 17 instead of 20?
So in 2013, 2014, our government decided that they'd offer an opportunity called TERA, and they needed 28,000 service members that were in the Air Force to get out. And my husband gave up being probably going to be a chief in the Air Force to come and live in England. So we had gotten married, and I was in England and he was in F.E. Warren. And so I watched him say, you know what, you're first and I want to be with you. And so it's time to come and support you. And I thought to myself, I want 3 years of my life back. We were looking at going to Djibouti. I had already done 2 combat tours.
Djibouti is in Africa. Yep.
So we were looking at that. I had done 2 combat tours to Iraq. I had been to Southwest Asia. I have supported my country in multiple countries around the world. And I just said, you know what? I would like to apply. And it was very funny because while a lot of people were getting support to get out, my command did not take that stance. They're like, everybody can get out, but I need you here. And so it was very interesting to see at the end of the day to realize you are replaceable. It's very important for everybody to know that no matter what you do and how important you think your job is, your job can find somebody else to do that. And sometimes you have to make those decisions to make those changes for you, what's best for you as a person. And that institution can find another person.
Yeah, it's one thing I've learned over the years is that when you make decisions in the best interest of you and your family, they're very rarely the wrong one. And I remember Tara especially going through that. So where they were downsizing, right-sizing, whatever corporate phrase they brought in for basically laying off a bunch of people. And I was on the administrative side. I was doing HR at the time as a first sergeant. And the emotional distress that so many people came to me in my office, and they're talking about, we've got to make this decision now. I planned on doing, working with the military, 30 years, or they had these longer plans. They found themselves where they enjoyed the work, the camaraderie, and everything that they had there. And, the phrase that I kept hearing time and time again was, I love being in the Air Force. I love the Air Force. I love the way it treats me, the way it is. Why am I being picked for this? And I had to go back to, for life of me, I can't remember which sports person said this. I think it was in the NFL, but, it says, you can't love something that doesn't love you back.
Yes.
And love has to be reciprocal. And at the end of the day, just like you're saying, the Department of Defense and the Air Force, they have a responsibility to the taxpayer. They can't I know it seems like they just spend money like crazy. And yes, I know the National Defense Authorization Act that's being looked at is a monster. It's like $986 billion. But, they still have to be able to balance those over for long-term pieces, the long-term health of the service as well. So they have to make those tough decisions. I was on the other side of that for people I'm like, either you decide to take it or we're going to separate you, and having to be there to support them through that. So I'm glad it was able to work out for you. That is, that's great for you and your family. So we're going to get back to more of that so after the break here, and we'll get into our next the next spot, we're going to talk a little bit more about your return and what you've been doing. So, again, you're listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM, at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices, streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So let's take that first break, and we will get into your return after we get back.
Blue Moon, Bubblegum, Mackinac Island Peanut Butter Fudge, Chocolate Peanut, Truffles and Fudge, and Michigan Pothole. We all know these signature favorites from House of Flavors, right? Did you know when you work at House of Flavors Manufacturing, you get free ice cream to take home? House of Flavors Manufacturing is hiring for all positions in every shift. Take pride in your work and do it to the best of your abilities. Commitment and reliability. Career growth and development is available if you are committed and desire and achieve even more when you work at House of Flavors Manufacturing. Want to know something else? At House of Flavors Manufacturing, you get to work in the cold. With summer being here, I'm sure you would want to be working in a freezer instead of the hot, humid outdoor weather, and get paid an amazing wage for doing so. Interested in working at House of Flavors Manufacturing? Go to the House of Flavors Manufacturing website and click on the Careers tab and apply now. Colonoscopy, a simple procedure to screen for colon cancer, is now recommended beginning at age 45. Early detection is the key to saving lives from colon cancer. This simple procedure helps detect colon cancer in its earliest stages. Be proactive about your health. Talk to your primary care provider or call 231-843-3717 to schedule your colonoscopy at Corewell Health, Ludington Hospital.
Do you enjoy refunds on ATM withdrawal fees, building savings automatically, no monthly maintenance fees, and free digital banking? Well, Safe Harbor Credit Union offers a free checking account that pays 5% APY on balances up to $15,000. You can open your account within minutes. Innovative checking built on traditional values. Free Kasasa Cash rewards you for supporting your community. Some key features include high dividends, refunds on ATM withdrawal fees, no monthly maintenance fees, and no minimum balance requirements. To learn more, check out our website at safeharborcu.org or come visit us at our office at 5511 US 10. Member, owner, neighbor. Here, you're one and the same. Safe Harbor Credit Union.
This is Todd Reed. We want to invite you to visit our downtown photography gallery and to check out our new children's book, They Call Me Eagle Eyes, a picture book for all ages. Take a visual journey with us and earn your eagle eyes.
Keeping you updated with our community calendar here at Mom FM, underwritten by Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, Watson Motors, Community Mental Health, and McGee Insurance. Ready for it? Another magnet comes your way next.
Hi, this is Lori from West Michigan Community Mental Health. If you are looking for a rewarding career and have a passion for helping others, be a part of Renew, Rebuild, Recover. Go to WMCMHS.org and view career opportunities today.
Our service team at Watson Motors in Ludington and Manistee will treat your vehicle like one of our own. We're by your side whenever you need car service or repair work done. Watson Motors in Ludington is located at the corner of Dennis and US 10 and in Manistee on Parkdale Road across from Big Al's Pizza.
Saturday, August 5th from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. will be a Will Strong soccer tournament. The tournament will be at Bryant Field. Will's legacy continues to live on not only through his family and friends, but through this soccer tournament in which 100% of the proceeds raised goes to our local Will Strong Foundation. The funds from this tournament will help children and families cope with childhood cancer diagnosis in our area for years to come. If your organization has an event that you'd like to promote, for free, reach out to us. Mom's Fridge Magnet is a free community calendar of announcements and underwritten by Watson Motors, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, and West Michigan CMH on 102.7 Mom FM.
Local people, real success stories shared every week. It's Leading West Michigan with your host, Ryan Howe, here on 102.7 WMOM.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Howe from Summit Business Guides, and we're continuing our conversation with Theresa Irving. So before the break, we had gone over your time, a little bit in school, but then your time in the military, which, we blasted through 17 years pretty quick, and that's usually how it feels. You're done, like, wow, I've done my time serving my country. And then the decision was made, you're going to move back, right? So talk to us through like what that was like landing back here and reacclimating to the land of civilians.
So for me, I found it really difficult. I had spent most of my time overseas. My children didn't understand that you get taxed for things in stores. When I first got back, I tried to show my ID card several times at Walmart, Meijer. It takes, not very long before people are like, we don't give a discount, but that wasn't my purpose. My purpose is when you go into a store and you're overseas, you have to show your ID card. I find that the culture for me was a big change.
How so?
One of the biggest things for me, I think, is just our professionalism that we carry ourselves in and outside of installations. And when you're only around military people that are between 18 and 38, when you come back and you see all types of people that maybe don't have, the same level of professionalism, I found it very difficult at first to blend in.
Yeah, no, and that's, again, for me personally, that was one of my favorite things. On the flip side, that was my favorite thing about getting out of the military, was just seeing the entire spectrum of all the folks that are out there that, which we're there to allow folks to do. We had to live that rigid lifestyle so that they could go forth and, again, live their life how they want to. We give up a little bit of freedom on our end so everybody else gets to experience it. So, but you eventually made the transition, though, and we're like, okay, and what was your next steps when you landed?
So I actually found my dream home. I had a home here in England, or a home here in Oceana County that I already purchased, and I was looking for a dream home for my family. I was expecting, my parents didn't even know. I didn't tell them till later because we had lost a baby, so I wanted to make sure that we were going to be okay and going forward. And we found a beautiful home, and we were able to purchase our home, but we were retired expecting a baby, and I didn't have a job. And so I felt like my husband and I have done everything backwards. So being able to find a place that worked for us, and I started with the Michigan Farm Bureau when I first got back, being able to lobby for farmers and help them tell their story and to pass legislation and law was really important, as well as insurance to protect the things that you value the most.
So, and from there, though, once you got settled in your house, how long until you started your actual entrepreneurial career?
I started it in 2019. So
Okay.
I got out in 2014. And then I also worked at the VA in Muskegon.
Okay.
I was a check-in clerk for the Veterans Health. And I thought that was a great job. But I really felt a calling. I had washed dishes at Sands Restaurant when I was 16 years old. And I always said, when I own this restaurant, this is what I want to do. I worked for all 4 original owners.
And Sands is in Silver Lake,
is in
right?
Silver Lake,
Yep.
yeah. And I saw the opportunity. It was for sale. It hadn't been acted on. And I really wanted to be able to live that dream.
Okay. And then you went ahead and you went and did purchase it there. And so how was it your first dabbling into entrepreneurialism there, being the boss?
I would have to tell you, I bought it in 2019, we renovated, and then we opened on April 2nd, 2020, during a pandemic. And so I think I had a really big cry there for a second. I had dreams of, I wanted to do rooftop dining. There's all these wonderful things. I had really imagined what my experience would be. And I felt bad for myself. And then I thought about it and I thought, this is not the worst situation you've ever been in, Theresa. You've really been in life and death situation. I did 2 combat tours to Iraq, and we're going to do it better and bigger and come out better the other side. And that's what we did.
Okay. Again, we're continuing our conversation with Theresa Irving. She's a veteran entrepreneur in Oceana County, and going through I think every single business owner, entrepreneur goes through that first stage of, oh man, what I get myself into, right? Every business owner out there, they just know it. Like, wow, things did not work out like I had planned. So how did you adjust? What ended up happening?
So I did not get the PPP loans. Those were for people that had a pre-existing business I had opened in 2020. And so I found ways to be innovative. I opened up Silver Lake early with a ton of media. I got on radio stations. I got on the TV, and I started to tell a compelling story of, if you want to be healthy and go out and walk, choose Silver Lake Sand Dunes, and then come up and pick up a meal at Silver Lake Sands Restaurant. We had a number of ways that you could order online, over the phone, in person, at a window with, plastic, and people in gloves and masks. Like, what way made you feel comfortable? But please use us, because we had 43 employees. We had people with health care, and I had made commitments, and I wanted to make sure that we followed through with those.
Okay. And yeah, and again, Sands Restaurant, I think I had met you there. That's where we first met, down there. It was in 2021, I want to say, or was it?
Yep,
Yeah, it had been 2021.
Yeah.
So, and at that time, how long did you ended up paying off the loan for the restaurant, correct?
I did. Yep. It was a contract loan with the owner.
Okay. And so you owned it, basically cleared out. And then at some point we were talking, and you decided to pivot outside of the restaurant. So what was the driving force for you to then say, okay, at 16 years old, I said, when I own this restaurant, now that you owned it, and then you decided to move on from what your dream was, what happened and why did that occur?
So I absolutely love the restaurant. I'd still be in Sam's restaurant. For me, what happened was my husband is not a restaurant owner. For me, it was about deciding that I want to build a life and a business I didn't need a vacation from. A restaurant, one of the happiest moments that you have is when you buy it and then when you sell it, because there's a lot of long hours. So I was spending 18 to 21 hours in the restaurant. And I'll be honest with you too, I had not planned on having our 8th child. Okay. And so I got pregnant, and then I kept it from my husband. Actually, we had her in August. I didn't tell him until May. My family thought I was very heavy. And it was funny because I knew the stress level was going to be high. And so I had the baby, and then 4 days later, I was back in the restaurant. Yeah. And so it was a lot of work. And I enjoy doing work. I enjoy being able to support our community in that way and the people that worked for me. But I also wanted to keep my husband. My husband won Father of the Year for America in 2016, and I just was not going to be able to trade up.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah, no. And I think that's, again, in that choice, and I remember you were kind of struggling with it for a bit there. And it's understandable. You had your dream here, and then you decided, nope, I'm going to pivot for family. As we mentioned before, you make decisions in the best interest of your family or rarely the wrong ones. So you end up selling the restaurant. And what was your plan when you sold the restaurant?
I had already purchased the 20 acres for Duneberry Farms, which is the disc golf course and pro shop. And we actually used some of the money to purchase the back 40. So now we went from 20 acres to 27 acres to 67
Okay,
acres.
so you total of 67 acres. So you took your dream there, and then you looked at these while you're still doing basically the restaurant, but you had made the decision, I got this, there's a plot of woods over here that I want to do this with.
Right.
And then, but you have to walk away from your other dream to do that.
To focus, right? To be able to give it the attention that it deserves. So I actually grew up right behind Flip City in Oceana County. That dead-end road I keep talking about, those people that are going to Flip City to go and play disc golf know exactly what I'm talking about. Because if they don't make that turn, they're turning around where my grandma used to live at the end of that road and coming back out to go to Flip City. So I watched that be grown up as a child, and I thought disc golf is amazing. It's a healthy way to communicate with your outdoors and yourself and friends and family. And so I wanted to be able to create that in Silver Lake, and I think we have really well. Yeah,
no, and that's, again, being out there. But I remember when you were first talking about this, and, again, my phrase with everybody that I work with or anybody who talks to me about their business is always like, hey, what's your plan? Just talk me through it, and we'll see where it's at. And that was one thing when you were talking about that, and because I went out there, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Duneberry here going up, because Duneberry and then also Warriror Rising, because of how those two interacted with each other and how that relationship grew. But I remember you going out last year with meeting you and your husband out in this, basically in the woods, with everything just kind of started to get cleared out there. And your ability to talk me through, same thing with your husband, the idea for the layout, how you wanted it to be, was very clear. And I knew that there was, again, knowing you for the time that I have, that nothing was going to stop either of you two from getting this done. Didn't matter what was going on, that this was going to come to fruition. But with that, though, was being a veteran, coming through as that entrepreneurial spirit, but also, I want to talk in our next segment about what that is like. Again, coming through as a veteran, trying to find capital, but also, in the military, we just kind of, again, there's us to get stuff done, and that's what it normally is. So you get used to, hey, we're going to go do this, and okay, and then now we're going to go make it happen. For a lot of folks out here, they're not used to that type of mentality. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, and also with Warriror Rising and how you've been working with that. So again, you're listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM, at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices. Streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So we're going to take this next break, and when we return, we want to talk about Duneberry, and we definitely want to talk about Warriror Rising.
Hey, this is Kim and Kelly from Sister Bees, and we have a big announcement that we can't wait to share with you.
We now offer Michigan-made specialty mead at the Sister Bees Boutique. What is mead? It's a beverage made of honey. It's fermented with yeast. It's often called honey wine. Once fermented, sweet fruit, grains, and other spices are often added.
In fact, Mead could be the oldest drink in the world, enjoyed by the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon.
So buzz on into the Sister Bees Boutique. We're located right on South James Street, and we're open Monday through Saturday, 10 to 5.
The store offers fun home decor, products crafted using the beeswax. We have local specialty gift boxes and free tasting of honey mustards, creamed honey, and more.
And once again, come check out our new mead selection. You don't have to be a royalty to enjoy this ancient beverage.
Sister Bees looks forward to seeing you soon.
Sherry here from Cluck Bucket. You have got to try our Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, the pretzel explosion. Our fresh made twisted pretzel, homemade mac and cheese, tender shredded chicken, boom boom sauce, and creamy coleslaw to top it off. If that doesn't sound delicious, then I'm not sure what does. If you're wanting something a little healthier, try Cluck Bucket's organic acai bowls. Available all day. You pick 2 fruits and topping like granola, chocolate chips, chia seeds, or coconut, and top it off with almond butter, honey, or Nutella. The perfect summer bowl. Acai bowls are eaten good. Visit Cluck Bucket downtown for delicious food from 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, and serving breakfast daily from 9 to 11.
For the freshest sweet corn, go to Runhack Orchards Market in Hart. You'll grin from ear to ear because they pick it fresh every morning. Runhack's early peaches are sweet and juicy and so good when sliced up and sprinkled with local blueberries. They have ripe black sweet cherries and their own tart cherries, too. You can munch on free samples of the cherries and local blueberries while you check out Runhack's summer plums, fresh veggies, and more. In addition to their own farm-grown fresh produce, Runhack's carries a wide variety of local and Michigan-made foods. You'll get gourmet quality without the gourmet price. Project Fresh, Senior Market Fresh, and credit cards are welcome. And if you use your Michigan Bridge card, you'll get double up food bucks tokens for fresh produce at Runhack's Orchard Market in Hart. Open 8 to 6 Monday through Saturday. Take US 31 to Hart exit 149 and go 1 mile east to 3731 West Polk Road in Hart near the bicycle trailhead.
Hi, this is Dan with McGee Insurance Group, serving West Michigan since 1939. McGee Insurance has dedicated itself to serving you. Our knowledgeable agents are here to help you with all of your insurance needs and to provide a tailored customer-focused experience for you or your business. Whatever the situation might be, we are here to help. Stop on in or give us a call at 231-845-5000 to see what we can do for you. McGee, the guarantee you can count on.
It's more of Leading West Michigan with our special guest, Theresa Irving, Assistant Programming Director for Warriror Rising. Let's get back to the conversation with your host, Ryan Howe, on 102.7
All right, welcome back.
WMOM.
And, before the break, we were learning a little bit more about Duneberry Farm and also Theresa Irving's work with Warriror Rising. So let's talk about, again, you got Duneberry Farm is up and running. And the vision's happening, and then you get introduced or you find Warriror Rising. Can you talk about what that was and explain to folks what Warriror Rising is?
Sure. So I got into Warriror Rising because I wanted to have an invested business partner with my husband. I told you he wasn't crazy about the restaurant, and I wanted to have a business partner. And so I got interested in Warriror Rising because I felt like it turned operators into business owners. Warriror Rising turns, warriors into CEOs. And I thought that was a really neat technique. They have a 40-module online self-paced course that you take, and then they have a Vet to CEO program with coaching and mentoring. You can find out more about them from www.warrirorrising.org.
So just to be clear, so they're primarily focused on entrepreneurs, correct?
They are.
And so how did that help you? Like what did they do in support with you?
Well, I think what they did is they took my military experience and the things that I knew that I was very good at in the military, and they showed me how to apply them in business. And I think that's really important because you have what it takes to be a leader. People at very low levels in the service already start having a lot of that experience and responsibility. And how do you turn that into being successful as a business owner? Because you can turn that into be a detriment. You could work against you, right? We're very direct from the service.
Yeah, that's no lie.
We're used to embracing the suck. And so we can say, that sucks, but we just do it. Well, people that aren't in the service might not understand our culture. And so being able to use it to your strength and not your detriment is important.
So I'm assuming it was also helpful to have people that also spoke the language, they understood what you'd been through, where you're at, and come in, rather than again, and out here we have, there's many places that offer business coaching and helping, but I'm assuming having veterans in there that understood was helpful as well.
It's huge. I think for me, listening to people and saying, it's really hard in business right now. COVID was really hard, and it's still hard to recover from that. But nobody's shooting at you today. You have the opportunity every day to wake up and be different and go in a different direction if you actively set your mind to it and chase that. Chase being better, learn. I recently saw a study, and it says that 39% of, 42% of people right now that are veteran entrepreneurs, why they aren't successful is they're inadequate. They don't have the skills and tools. They're not stupid. They just haven't learned the things that they need to, whether it's about finance, about marketing, about your customer, about your product. And so having those tools and resources at Warrior Rising is huge, because the second thing then is access to capital. And after you complete our program at Warrior Rising, you have an opportunity to pitch your business for capital seed money. And I was able to go last September. I listened to Rob O'Neill and how he got Bin Laden, how he took Bin Laden out on September 11th. There were 700 people in that room. And I listened with my friends and family and other people in the room that story. And I think it's really important for us to capture our military heritage and then learn that transition into owning a business.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found out, again, as my job as an executive coach and working with small business owners, that again, the skill sets that people have on the outside, they have, they may be familiar with financials. Mm-hmm. They may know certain other aspects of business, but on the flip side of that, they're where the lacking normally is, where you see it at, is the interpersonal communication, the way to supervise people, leadership. Really, and you'll hear me talk about it, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, understanding where the people, being able to very quickly identify where someone's at in that triangle and be able to, the pyramid, and be able to make decisions off of that to get them to be their best selves, where we have that. So it makes sense where they'd be filling that 42%. So what was it like when you first got in there and you had to do your pitch?
So for me, I found it very fun. I really love our community in our area. So being able to talk about Silver Lake, where over 1.6 million people come, West Michigan as a whole, and then talk about my vision for my disc golf course and pro shop with the Blueberry U-Pick. I'm very passionate about those things, and so I found it very easy to talk about them. I did not win the business that has Operation Childcare, which is a huge problem in the service. She actually won, which I think is amazing. And she had a business that allowed people to vet the centers and the people that be watching your children. So if I'm going to lose, I'm glad I lost to the ability to vet for the safety of our children around military bases. But as a non-winner, I still got a laptop computer. I was able to get thousands of dollars worth of media from Diesel Jack Media, a $2,000 check, and an experience of a lifetime to be able to meet mentors and coaches that really helped move my business forward.
Yeah, no, and then also those connections as well. That's the other spot, because it apparently worked as far as making those connections, because how long after that did you start working with Warrior Rising instead of being a client?
So I worked as a volunteer for 6 months and then was hired for a year. I'll be a producer for a year with Warrior Rising. And what that did, I was so compelled by what it had done for me that I wanted to be able to help move that forward for other veterans, to be able to give them the news about what Warrior Rising is and that you're not walking this entrepreneurship journey alone.
So, yeah, and again, as far as the presence here, you were my first introduction to Warrior Rising, really seeing it here. And I know there's an effort within that organization for outreach throughout the area here. So is there a way that you were able to, do they help you with any marketing to be able to push that out for more information about Warrior Rising, to be able to get that out to local veterans groups or anything?
They do. So I was able to come to the Michigan Leadership Summit this year and be able to talk to over 300 leaders here in Michigan to be able to share our news. Next year, we're actually going to have a pitch in to be determined whether it's going to be Grand Rapids or Detroit.
Okay.
But the idea is that we're going to have a pitch competition and be able to showcase Michigan businesses with a wonderful workshop as well as a gala at the end of the night.
Okay.
And then we also are here annually with the Total Archery Challenge, which is an event up at Crystal Mountain. So you'll see Warrior Rising more and more in our community because we are a national program. We're online, and more veterans are seeking us out to be able to get the those extra tips and resources.
Yeah, last week when you had, again, thank you for that, by had me on there as a speaker for the act, and that was the national group, right? As far as the invite in for everybody. So,
right.
Can you explain a little bit what you had me do as far as come on?
So we have a coaching night and a mentoring night with Warriror Rising, and what that allows you to do is be able to have online access to coaches and mentors with a number of subject matter experts. So whether it's marketing or maybe it's AI, we're there for you. We have 7 coaches and mentoring. Ryan was able to come on and talk about recession-proofing your business, which I think was amazing. Our coaches and mentors were taking notes because they love some of those information that you had given. And so what we do is we ask the veterans to come on and learn something and then go into rooms for 25 minutes and be able to ask those questions. And I think that's really important because sometimes you already know the problem in your business and you might already know the solution, but you just need to talk it through with somebody that has a little bit more knowledge than you. And that's what we offer.
Yeah, no, it was great. And I again, thank you for the opportunity. It was enjoyable to go through and give that talk. I've given it here before. As far as recession-proofing your business, it's 10 things you can, 10 different sections you can work on. It's for anybody interested, obviously reach out, let me know. I'm more than happy to come talk to you about it. But the part that I really enjoyed was those breakout rooms, because got an opportunity to talk, basically they could ask whatever question they wanted to ask. And I was able to give some very specific, tailored advice to this gentleman who owned a few gyms in the Asheville, South Carolina area. And it was great to be able to go through and just be like, hey, he's like, I'm not sure what to do here. We talked it through and was able to give very specific advice, and was grateful for the opportunity. I thought that was great. So, and I know there was some talk about maybe having me on for some more talks or other areas. So, definitely know that I'm available for that when you need me, as long as I can make some time. So,
awesome.
So again, when we head into it's time for our next break. It's our last break before we head into the final segment, and when we come back. Again, just wanted to talk a little bit more about what the future looks like for Duneberry. Same thing for Warriror Rising, and then just anybody you want to acknowledge or thank on this. So it's been interesting learning more and more about Warriror Rising as I've been had more exposure to it, and I do believe that it's going to be something that is. I love the fact it's online, but it's personal access and counseling for any veteran entrepreneurs that happen to be out there. So. Again, you've been listening to Leading West Michigan on 102.7 WMOM, at home on your Amazon Alexa or Google Home smart devices, streaming online at WMOM.FM, and live video streams on the 102.7 WMOM Facebook page and WMOM YouTube channel. So, getting on to our next break here. It's going to be great. And when we come back, we talk more with Theresa Irving of Duneberry Farm. Thank you.
Just in time for summer.
This includes Long Island iced teas, margaritas, Bahama Mama, and more.
If you're interested in behind the scenes of Applebee's, we are hiring.
Andy, what are some things you love about working at Applebee's?
James, I just really love coming into work. I love making sure that all my guests leave happy. They have a good, fun experience when they come in. And I've been there for almost 6 years, so everybody's like family. We all have a good time coming into work. I just love coming in. See you guys.
I agree.
If we sound like a good fit, apply online at Indeed or Applebee's.com.
You've all been waiting patiently, and we're so excited to announce Yada Yada Resale is celebrating its grand reopening on Saturday, July 29. Come check out our new beautiful building located just east of Ludington Meat Company. At Yada Yada Resale, you'll find one-of-a-kind repurposed items including clothing, furniture, glassware, books, houseware, and more. Come join our celebration on Saturday, July 29 from noon to 6. Our friends at WMOM will be on site kicking off the fun. We'll be serving up some food with Cluck Bucket Fruit Truck. We have giveaways plus free Yada totes that include store discounts for our first 100 customers. Store hours Monday through Saturday, noon to 6. This is grand summer fun and deals for the grand reopening of Yada Yada Resale.
Looking for a career rather than just a job? Your local Great Clips franchises are now hiring great stylists to join their team at the Ludington location, located next to Starbucks in front of Lowe's off of Highway 10, and the Manistee location located right inside the busy Manistee Mire. Enjoy great pay starting at a competitive hourly wage, plus tips and bonuses, medical and dental benefits, paid vacation vacations, ongoing development, leadership opportunities, and great customers. Take a great opportunity for you and build a career with the world's greatest salon brand, Great Clips. Apply at jobs.greatclips.com. That's jobs.greatclips.com. Our success is seeing you succeed. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Stay tuned for A Mom's Fridge Magnet, underwritten by Watson Motors, Community Mental Health, McGee Insurance, and Lakeshore Automotive and Tire.
You need more than just internet that works. You also need tech support that helps. With SyncWave, you can have both. Stream movies, do your work, play games, and know that you can speak to a local technician when things go wrong. Experience the benefits of having a local provider with great customer support that's easy to talk to. Call SyncWave at 231-845-1065 right now. That's 231-845-1065.
At Watson Motors, we understand your time is valuable. If you prefer to do the process from home, you can start with a trade-in appraisal or a finance application and purchase online. You can even get your vehicle delivered to your home. If at any point you decide you're more comfortable with one of our team members by your side, we're open to pick up where you left off. Watson Motors is located in Ludington at the corner of US 10 and Dennis Road, and in Manistee on Parkdale Road across from Big Al's Pizza.
Ludington Center for the Arts is having a camp called Jazz It Up Stamps and Stencil Camp with Alexandra Seidel. The camp will run from August 15th to August 17th. Alexandra Seidel will lead a fun and creative camp where children will learn how to create their own stamps and stencils to use in their art. The camp session will occur over 3 days from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Registration for summer camp is $20 and includes a snack. Register at ludingtonartscenter.org or call 231-845-2787. If your organization has an event that you'd like to promote for free, reach out to us. Mom's Fridge Magnet is a free community calendar of announcements and underwritten by Watson Motors, Lakeshore Automotive and Tire, McGee Insurance, and West Michigan CMH on 102.7 Mom FM.
It's more of Leading West Michigan with our special guest, Theresa Irving, Assistant Program Director of Warriror Rising. Let's get back to the conversation with your host, Ryan Howe, on 102.7 WMOM.
Welcome back. I'm Ryan Howe, and again, we're on to the final segment of our conversation with Theresa Irving. This has been great. Thank you again for coming up for this. It's been fantastic. So, the last segment, I always like to just start off. Is there any mentors or anyone you want to thank that you can think back that have really kind of helped you get to this point here?
Well, obviously, I want to thank my support staff, which is my mom and my husband. Okay, I got that one checked. And my children, I have a lot of them. Thank you all. I also want to thank you, Ryan, for coming into the restaurant and really re-engaging my excitement and owning a business. I had gotten so used to walking around things and so tired for doing everything myself, or just that interpretation. Like, I really did have a great staff, but when you get into a mindset, you just can't break it sometimes without somebody telling you. And so I think that was a huge moment for me as I pivoted. But then also Mona Vogel, she's been a huge mentor for me with Warriror Rising, Jason Van Camp and the staff, Ken Venera, and just being able to support a veteran as I transitioned from one business to another and continue to be successful. And I think it's because I have people that can poke back at me and say, no, you need to do the work. You need to keep working on this, or have you thought about this, or you think that's who your customer is, but this is really where you should go.
Yeah, no, again, thank you for that. I appreciate that. It's one thing you bring up constantly is just that reminder of it was like, hey, you got to do the work. And especially when you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, in markets like this, the opportunity to be able to have somebody to hire someone on to be able to do certain work that in other areas where we had maybe a more stable population that wasn't, didn't have the tourist influx.
Right.
Not in this market. You're going to have to do that work that you possibly could hire out. So, and I remember when I said that to you, you got back to me, I think within a day or two. You're like, I've done the following. And I was like, well, all right, cool. All right, took care of those things. So with that, we've got a few minutes left here. What's on the horizon for Duneberry Farm? What sort of what can people find if they haven't been down there to do any disc golf?
So what we have done this year is we have a pro shop now that's open on Thursday to Sunday from 11 to 7. We have our tee pads in that just came in. We just did our irrigation and water system. This week we just picked up our signs for our 18 basket signs. They're going to be going up. And what you're going to see is, anywhere between 50 to 100 people there to play disc golf with you, whether you're by yourself and want to be, or you want to wait until somebody's there. It won't be long before a car pulls up and is ready to play. So I think that's huge.
What's now it's not, I don't believe it's ready yet, but you have a camera system, right? That you have?
I do, yeah.
What, can you tell the audience about that? It's pretty interesting when we were talking about it last year to see.
So Disc Flicks is an idea that I came up with to change the way that we view disc golf. And what we'll do on the 18th hole, and it's almost ready, is we have it all cameraed up for you. So you'll get at the tee box your disc going and then all the way to the basket. And it's the same technology that tracks missiles is now tracking your discs at Duneberry Farm. And our goal is to help everyone be at a great level and to learn their game. So as a disc golfer, you play, and if you get an ace, you're at the end of there doing a picture with your finger showing that you've done, an ace. And now at Duneberry Farms, you're going to have that recording to be able to share that, replay it, and either put it on social media or just improve your game.
No, I thought that's great. And when you were first telling me about that too, I was just like, oh, okay, I get kind of what you're saying. And then as you went further down, I'm like, oh, wow, this is a lot more detailed than I thought it was going to be. So that's, again, that innovation. What else do you see happening, or what are you trying to work as far as other innovations within the space?
Well, my goal is to be able to do all 18 baskets. You'll have a green band, I'll have a purple one, and each one of our games, even if we're playing together, is going to be separate. And I think it's huge for me. This is a kind of a male-dominated sport, and to be able to throw like a girl, to be able to have that freedom, right? To say, we can do anything. I would love to be able to see that linked up to apps that keep the score and be able to let the technology keep the score for you, away with the paper and pen.
So if people want to go down, if they wanted to learn more about Duneberry, what's the website where they can go, and where is it exactly located at? Like, where's some landmarks?
Okay, so it's right outside of Silver Lake. We're 5 miles away from the state park, and it's really easy to find. If you use the disc golf app or the Google Maps, you'll find that. It's right across the street from Lavender Labyrinth, or down the street from the Fox Barn. If you want to find out more about Duneberry Farms, you can find us on our Facebook page. We have Instagram as well as DuneberryFarms.com as a website. And we're just getting up and going. We just started doing a QR code, so when you roll up, you can have a cashless option. You can pay there at the pro shop. There's all kinds of ways to interact with our farm. And we really want you to come out and enjoy your time with your family. Silver Lake can be expensive, and we're a great option to enjoy the lakeshore at a low cost for about a 3-hour activity.
Well, that's nice. And then as far as for Warriror Rising, what's next on the horizon for Warriror Rising?
Well, Warriror Rising is about to do a Vet to CEO program for the fall. We continue to have our self-paced course for the Warrior Academy. We have monthly coaching and mentoring sessions, and we're looking for veterans, spouses, and children of service members to be involved with us, and that's warriorrising.org, and then click apply to be a veteranpreneur and become a part of the tribe, learn about us, and then hopefully, you graduate the program and try out for one of those business pitch opportunities. We're 4 times around America, and we'll pay for everything if you are able to go. It's all expenses paid.
All expenses paid to get out there if you're one of the ones selected to go out there.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's great. And then, so we've got one in, where's the next one at?
The next one is going to be in Washington, D.C. on September 20th.
Okay.
And Damon John is going to be our speaker.
Damon John. Okay, for folks that don't know.
He's going to be a prior Shark Tank, as well as the FUBU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the founder.
Yep, FUBU founder. So, and again, just to reiterate here, this is a national organization, but it has contacts here in West Michigan. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Theresa on here. On top of the fact that she's a local entrepreneur, where she left the area, she came back, and she's trying, again, successfully building something out here that's going to have a great impact on the community as a whole. Through her entrepreneurial spirit, but also what she's doing with her work volunteering and being hired into Warriror Rising, that can have and does have a direct impact on military families, their lives, especially for those individuals who want to do something more with their life that they have there, and they have that spark of an idea. And again, that's where I go back to, for those of you who have ever been around entrepreneurs, and they're a bit different. Once they have that itch, and you'll see it on, they just have to scratch that itch. And for veterans to be able to go and say, well, okay, I know I can go talk to, anybody in the chamber and SCORE, which is, they're very, very, very good opportunities for you to go through there, and our local people are great. But sometimes you want to be able to just talk in a language that is more familiar to you, and this is the case with the military option. So it's great that that's available for veterans. So Theresa, I just want to thank you again for coming out. This has been a great conversation today. Thank you for being flexible on our start time today. Sure. So that's been great. Sure. So, all right. So again, I'm always looking for new leaders to have on this program, and give them an opportunity to share their stories. I'm interested in leaders in every aspect of the community. So if you know a leader making an impact, go to summitbusinessguides.com/leading West Michigan and submit their name for consideration. And if you'd like to learn more about what I do to help organizations, visit summitbusinessguides.com. Follow me at Summit Business Guides on Facebook, or send me a note at ryan@summitbusinessguides.com. So join us next week when I'll be talking with Julie Van Dyke from Cottage Works and Wave Nutrition to learn more about her journey to become one of West Michigan's leaders.
You've been listening to Leading West Michigan with Ryan Howe, a weekly program where you hear success stories of local officials and business leaders. Join us next week for more